The small town of Everwood was quiet and peaceful, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else, and life moved slowly. People went about their daily routines. Children played in the streets, and neighbors greeted each other warmly. Among them lived a young girl named Lyra, a lively and curious child with sparkling eyes that reflected her endless energy. She loved exploring the forests near her home, climbing trees and chasing butterflies. Lyra was also thoughtful and kind. She always helped others, whether it was carrying groceries for her elderly neighbor or comforting a friend who was sad. She had a special bond with her mother, whom she called Mama. Their relationship was close and tender. Mama often told Lyra stories about distant lands and brave heroes, stories that lit up Lyra's imagination and made her feel that adventure was always just around the corner. One evening, the sky began to change as the sun dipped below the horizon. The town seemed calm, but there was a strange feeling in the air. The wind carried an unusual chill, and the shadows grew longer and darker. Lyra was playing near the edge of the forest, chasing fireflies, when suddenly she noticed something strange. A soft, shimmering light appeared between the trees. At first, she thought it was one of her toys reflecting the sunlight, but the glow moved and shifted as if it were alive. Her curiosity drew her closer, and before she knew it, she was stepping toward the light. She felt a gentle warmth, like a soft breeze, and then, in a blink, everything around her changed. The next moment, Lyra found herself in a place unlike anything she had ever seen. The air was thick and glowing, filled with colors that seemed to float like clouds. Strange structures towered around her, smooth and shining, with patterns that danced across their surfaces. She felt small and alone, a mix of fear and wonder stirring inside her. She wanted to call out, but her voice seemed swallowed by the strange energy around her. Lyra realized she was not on Earth anymore. Somehow she had been taken far away, to a place beyond the stars. Back in Everwood, her mother noticed that Lyra had not returned home. Panic filled her heart as she ran through the streets calling her daughter's name. The neighbors joined in, searching every corner, but there was no sign of Lyra. The sun disappeared completely, leaving the town in darkness, and still, she was nowhere to be found. The community was shaken. People whispered about strange sightings in the forest, about mysterious lights that flickered and vanished. No one could explain what had happened. For Mama, the fear was overwhelming. She could not understand how her little girl could disappear so suddenly, and the worry gnawed at her day and night. Far beyond Earth, in a distant part of the galaxy, another figure felt the shift immediately. The alien queen, ruler of her people, sat on her throne in a palace of shimmering crystal. Her eyes, normally calm and commanding, widened as she received urgent news. Her daughter, Lyra, had been taken from her care. Though separated by millions of miles and different worlds, the bond between mother and daughter was powerful. The queen's heart ached with worry and fear. She commanded her advisors to find any trace of her child, but the news was troubling. The location of Lyra was unknown, and the forces responsible for her disappearance were skilled at remaining hidden. The queen's mind raced with questions. How could this have happened? Who had the courage or power to take her daughter? She felt a mix of anger and helplessness. Meanwhile, Lyra was trying to understand her surroundings. The place she had been taken to was unlike anything she could imagine. The floor beneath her feet glowed softly, and the walls seemed to hum with energy. Strange creatures, some large and some small, moved silently around her. Some looked like they were studying her, while others ignored her completely. Despite the fear that gripped her, Lyra did not give up. She remembered the stories her mother had told her, stories of courage, of facing challenges even when the outcome was uncertain. She took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Her small heart beat rapidly, but determination began to rise within her. She needed to find a way to stay strong. On Earth, the situation drew the attention of a special human organization. They monitored unusual events and had some knowledge of extraterrestrial activity. When news of Lyra's disappearance reached them, they realized this was more than just a missing child. The case was unique, and it required someone capable, someone brave and skilled. That person was Ethan, a human soldier who had trained for missions that no ordinary human could handle. Ethan was calm, focused, and known for his courage. He had faced dangers before, but this mission was different. This time, he would travel beyond Earth, into the unknown, to bring someone back who was not just any child, but someone connected to forces far larger than anyone on Earth could imagine. Ethan prepared for the mission with careful attention. He studied maps of space, practiced with advanced equipment, and learned about alien technology that would help him survive in an unfamiliar environment. As he worked, he thought about the child he was going to save. He did not know her personally, but he understood the importance of his task. Lyra's life depended on him, and he could not fail. With each passing hour, the weight of responsibility grew heavier, but so did his resolve. He was determined to face whatever challenges awaited him among the stars. Back in the alien realm, Lyra began to explore her new surroundings cautiously. She observed patterns in the movement of the guards. She noticed hidden pathways, and she tried to remember every detail that might help her escape or be found. Despite the strangeness of everything, she held on to hope. She thought about her mother, about the warmth of her arms, the gentle stories, and the love that had always guided her. That love was her anchor. No matter how far she had been taken, no matter how strange the world around her seemed, Lyra believed that somehow she would be reunited with her mother. As night fell on Earth and the stars shone brightly in the sky, Lyra's journey had only just begun. The world she knew was far behind her, and the universe she had entered was filled with unknown dangers and wonders. Yet even in the midst of fear and uncertainty, one thing remained certain. She was brave, and she would not give up. Somewhere, her mother was waiting, her heart heavy with worry but filled with love. And somewhere, a soldier was preparing to cross worlds to bring her back. The threads of destiny were weaving together, and the story of courage, hope, and reunion was beginning. Ethan stared at the holographic map floating before him, its lights blinking softly in the dimly lit command room. The mission he was about to undertake was unlike anything he had ever faced. For years, he had trained for dangerous assignments. But rescuing a child from another world, from beings whose existence most humans didn't even believe in, tested every skill he had learned. He ran his fingers over the controls, double-checking coordinates and making mental notes of the alien. Technologies he had studied. Every detail mattered. One mistake could mean failure, and failure was not an option. He thought about the child he was about to save. Her name was Lyra, a young girl who had vanished without a trace, leaving her mother in despair and her town in fear. Ethan didn't know her personally, but he could feel the importance of his role. He knew that this mission was more than a rescue. It was a bridge between two worlds. Humans had never faced something like this before, and his success or failure could shape the future of human-alien relations. Taking a deep breath, he reminded himself of the principles that guided him: courage, careful planning, and compassion. Meanwhile, Lyra was adjusting to the alien environment around her. The place was vast, with towering structures that seemed to shimmer and move in the soft glow of energy. Strange creatures moved silently, some with multiple limbs, some that floated through the air as if weightless. Fear still gripped her heart, but curiosity and determination began to push it aside. She remembered her mother's words: "Bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the decision to face it." With that thought in mind, she began observing patterns, taking note of the guards' routines, the openings between patrols, and the hidden alcoves that could provide shelter or escape. Lyra found a quiet corner where she could rest, and while she sat there, she began to talk quietly to herself. Talking, even in whispers, gave her strength. She reminded herself that her mother was waiting, that someone would come for her. The thought of her mother's love became a shield, protecting her from panic and despair. Slowly, she began to devise a plan, not an escape yet, because she knew she could not do it alone, but a way to stay safe and gather information. She observed, memorized, and stayed alert. Every sound, every shadow mattered. Back on Earth, Ethan's preparations continued. He studied the reports sent by the intelligence network that monitored extraterrestrial activity. He learned about the alien societies, their languages, customs, and security measures. The more he learned, the more he realized how delicate the mission was. These were intelligent beings, capable of advanced strategies and protective instincts, especially when it involved a child like Lyra. Ethan also trained physically, practicing maneuvers that would allow him to move swiftly, silently, and with precision in unfamiliar terrain. He pushed himself harder than ever before, knowing that his body and mind had to be ready for anything. As Ethan prepared, the alien queen was also taking action. From her palace of glowing crystal towers, she activated her intelligence network, sending signals across her kingdom to locate her daughter. Her concern was deep and maternal, yet she had to maintain control. She could not let fear rule her decisions. Every advisor, every scout, every communication channel was directed toward finding Lyra. The queen was aware of the dangers Lyra faced. She knew that human intervention could be helpful, but she also feared misunderstandings or conflicts. She hoped that whoever came to rescue her daughter would do so with care and respect, understanding the stakes involved. On the alien planet, Lyra noticed a subtle pattern in the guards' behavior. They did not react quickly to minor disturbances, and there were moments when a corridor would be empty for a few minutes at a time. She began mapping the area in her mind, creating a mental blueprint of the spaces she could move through safely. It was slow work, and she had to remain cautious, but each observation gave her hope. Lyra also began forming friendships in small ways with other captives. Though they could not speak freely, silent gestures and shared glances communicated support and understanding. These tiny alliances helped her feel less alone. Ethan's spaceship was ready, sleek and equipped with advanced navigation and stealth technology. As he prepared to leave Earth, he looked out at the night sky, thinking of Lyra and her mother. The stars seemed endless, a vast expanse that was both beautiful and intimidating. Yet he felt a sense of purpose. Each star was a reminder that he was not just fighting against time or distance, he was fighting for hope, for a chance to reunite a child with her mother. The journey ahead would be long and perilous, but he embraced it with quiet determination. As the spaceship lifted off, leaving Earth behind, Lyra felt a strange shift in the air. Though she did not know it, someone was coming for her. Her heart beat faster, not with fear, but with a spark of hope. She remembered the stories her mother told her about heroes who appeared when they were most needed. Could this be her hero? She didn't know, but she held on to the thought, letting it guide her through the strange environment. The Queen continued to monitor Lyra's surroundings, sending encrypted signals to track movements and anticipate potential dangers. Every piece of information she received was analyzed carefully. She understood the importance of patience and strategy. She also felt a growing respect for the human who had accepted the mission. Whoever this person was, they were brave enough to step into unknown territory to help her daughter. The Queen's hope mingled with anxiety, but she refused to let despair dominate her mind. As Lyra explored further, she discovered an area that seemed less guarded, a space with soft lighting. and fewer creatures. She could rest there without fear of immediate danger, and she used this time to plan her next steps. Though she could not escape alone, she could prepare, gathering knowledge that would help when the time came. She practiced moving quietly, observing everything carefully and maintaining her courage. Every small victory built her confidence, giving her the strength to face challenges yet to come. Ethan, guided by intelligence reports and instinct, navigated the vastness of space. The journey was challenging, filled with unknown hazards, but he moved steadily forward. He knew that Lyra's safety depended on his ability to stay focused, make precise decisions, and act with courage. Each passing hour brought him closer, yet the risks increased. He reminded himself that this was not just a mission, it was a chance to show compassion, understanding, and bravery in a universe that often seemed indifferent. As the hours turned into days, Lyra remained vigilant, learning, observing, and holding on to hope. She thought constantly of her mother, imagining the warmth of her embrace, the sound of her voice, and the love that had always surrounded her. This thought became her guiding light, helping her endure the strange and challenging environment. Somewhere in the distance, a human soldier was moving closer, unaware of her exact location, but determined to find her. The threads of destiny were slowly converging, and soon Lyra's courage and Ethan's determination would bring them together. Ethan's journey through the vast stretches of space was filled with tension and anticipation. Every star, every asteroid, every glowing planet in the distance reminded him of the enormity of the universe and the challenges that lay ahead. His mind was focused, constantly analyzing every piece of data that came from his ship's sensors. There were areas with high energy readings, zones that could be traps, and sectors filled with alien patrols. Each step forward required careful calculation. One wrong move could not only put the mission at risk, but also endanger Lyra's life. Despite the pressure, Ethan remained calm, his experience as a soldier guiding his every action. Meanwhile, Lyra had grown more observant and resourceful. She had memorized the patrol routes of the alien guards, the quiet moments between their rounds, and even the soft hum of the machinery that powered the prison-like structures. She had found small ways to make life easier for herself, discovering hidden alcoves where she could rest safely, and paths that allowed her to move undetected. Each small success gave her courage. She began to imagine what it would feel like, to see her mother again, to hear her voice, and to feel the warmth of her arms. That vision became her driving force, giving her strength even when fear threatened to overwhelm her. The alien guards were intelligent and vigilant, but Lyra noticed that they often underestimated her determination. They saw her as a small, powerless child, not realizing that her courage and mind were sharper than most. Lyra used this to her advantage, moving quietly, watching, and waiting for the right moment to make her move. She also observed the interactions between the guards and other captives. By studying their behavior, she began to understand patterns and weaknesses. Though she could not escape alone, every observation brought her closer to understanding how someone could rescue her safely. Ethan's ship finally reached the outer edge of the alien sector. From his window, he could see structures glowing with energy, towers, and platforms that seemed to defy gravity. The sensors picked up movement, small, almost imperceptible patterns that indicated life forms and security measures. Ethan's heart raced with anticipation. He knew that Lyra was close, but reaching her would not be simple. The alien environment was unlike anything he had trained for. He adjusted his equipment, reviewed his plan, and reminded himself to remain calm and precise. His mission depended on focus, courage, and patience. Back inside the alien complex, Lyra felt a mixture of fear and hope. She had been alone for what felt like an eternity, but she could sense that something was changing. She had no idea who might be coming for her, but instinct told her that help was near. She carefully mapped out potential escape routes in her mind, noting places where she could hide and paths that led to safety. Lyra also continued to communicate silently with other captives, offering small gestures of reassurance and support. Even in a place filled with danger and uncertainty, she tried to be brave and maintain hope, not only for herself but for those around her. Ethan made his first move, navigating through the alien sector with careful precision. The terrain was unfamiliar and challenging, filled with shifting energy fields and strange obstacles that seemed to move and change shape. He relied on both technology and instinct, knowing when to advance and when to wait. Each step forward brought him closer to Lyra, but also closer to danger. The alien patrols were alert, their senses sharp. Ethan used stealth, avoiding detection, and moving with quiet determination. Every success, every careful maneuver strengthened his confidence and fueled his resolve. As Ethan advanced, Lyra noticed subtle changes in her environment. The guards seemed distracted in certain areas, and faint sounds of movement reached her ears. She felt a spark of hope. Could this be the moment she had been waiting for? She reminded herself to stay cautious, to move quietly, and to remain observant. Lyra's heart beat faster with each step, not just from fear, but from the possibility of being rescued. She thought about her mother and the stories of heroes who appeared when they were most needed. Could Ethan be her hero? The thought gave her courage she hadn't felt before. The alien queen continued to monitor her daughter's situation from afar. She could see the patterns, the small actions that indicated Lyra was aware and alert. The queen's heart was heavy with worry, but she also felt pride. Her daughter was strong, resourceful, and brave. The queen knew that someone was coming to help, and she hoped that this person understood the importance of their mission. She watched every movement, prepared to intervene if necessary, but trusted that courage and determination could carry them through. In one of the more complex sections of the alien sector, Ethan encountered an unexpected challenge. Energy barriers blocked his path, shifting walls created confusing mazes, and patrols moved unpredictably. Every decision required thought and precision. He paused, analyzed the patterns, and carefully navigated through the obstacles. Each small victory brought him closer to Lyra. The tension was intense, but he relied on his training, remaining calm under pressure. He reminded himself that every step forward could mean the difference between success and failure. Lyra, sensing that something was changing in the air, became more alert. She moved quietly, observing the guards and creatures around her. She noted every sound, every shadow, every shift in light. Her mind was sharp, her senses tuned to detect even the smallest detail. She began to prepare mentally for what might happen next. She didn't know who was coming for her, but she felt a sense of anticipation, a hope that someone brave was on their way. She clung to that hope, letting it guide her through the uncertainty. Ethan's journey brought him closer to Lyra's location. He could sense the life signs, small and faint, but unmistakable. His heart surged with determination. He moved carefully, avoiding detection and observing the environment around him. The closer he got, the more precise his actions became. Every step was a combination of strategy, courage, and focus. He reminded himself that Lyra's life depended on him and that he had to succeed. Finally, the moment came when Ethan caught the first glimpse of Lyra. She was moving carefully, alert, and cautious, her small frame blending with the surroundings. He felt a surge of relief and determination. The child was there, and he had found her. But the challenge was far from over. Alien guards were still present, and the environment itself was unpredictable. Ethan knew that reaching her safely required more than just strength. It required strategy, patience, and quick thinking. Lyra, sensing someone moving nearby, froze. She could not see clearly, but she felt a presence that was not threatening. A quiet, Steady energy filled the space around her, and instinct told her that help had arrived. Her heart beat rapidly with hope and anticipation. She could not see who it was, but she knew that someone brave had come to rescue her. The threads of fate were drawing them closer together, and soon, courage, determination, and hope would combine in a way that could change everything. The moment had finally arrived. Ethan moved carefully, keeping low to the glowing floor of the alien complex, his eyes fixed on the small figure ahead. It was Lyra. She was crouched behind a low barrier, her eyes wide with caution, every movement filled with alertness and hope. Ethan's heart raced, but he remained calm. He knew that rushing could scare her or alert the guards. Slowly he approached, showing no sudden movements, speaking softly in a language she could understand. "Lyra," he whispered gently, "I'm here to help you. You're safe now." Lyra froze for a moment, her mind trying to process the voice. It sounded human, kind, and calm. Could this really be someone coming to rescue her? She hesitated, unsure if she should trust him, but something in his tone, the steady assurance in his voice, convinced her. She nodded slightly, letting him guide her carefully through the maze of alien corridors. Each step was cautious, careful not to attract attention, but the relief in Lyra's eyes was unmistakable. She was finally being rescued. The alien guards were nearby, patrolling the halls with their usual alertness, but Ethan had studied their patterns. He led Lyra through paths that avoided their line of sight, ducking behind energy pillars and slipping into shadows. Every movement was calculated. He whispered encouragements to her, telling her to stay quiet, to follow him, and to trust him. Lyra clung to his words, letting them calm her fear. Her heart, which had been pounding with anxiety for so long, now beat with hope. As they moved, Lyra began to feel a sense of freedom she hadn't experienced in days. The alien structures, which had seemed so imposing and frightening before, now became something she could navigate with Ethan's guidance. Each step forward was a small victory, and each corner they passed without detection brought her closer to safety. She could feel her confidence growing, her hope strengthening. The thought of her mother waiting for her kept her moving, steady, and determined. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the alien queen watched through her network of sensors. She could see that someone had reached her daughter. Her heart leapt with relief and joy, but she did not show it openly. Instead, she focused on monitoring every movement, ensuring that her daughter would remain safe until she could be physically reunited. The queen's emotions were intense: pride, relief, hope, and a mother's deep love all intertwined. She felt the courage and determination of both her daughter and the human who had come to rescue her, and she allowed herself a quiet moment of gratitude for their bravery. Ethan and Lyra reached a wider corridor where the light was softer and the guards' patrols less frequent. He paused for a moment, kneeling down to meet her at eye level. "You're doing great," he said gently. "Just a little further. Soon you'll be safe and we'll get you home." Lyra's eyes glistened with tears. She had been so scared for so long, and now she could finally imagine a future where she was free. The thought of her mother filled her mind, and she could almost feel her embrace. The hope that had been growing inside her now surged, giving her strength to continue. The final stretch was the most dangerous. The energy barriers ahead were unpredictable, shifting in ways that could trap anyone who moved too quickly. Guards were stationed nearby, their senses sharp and alert. Ethan took a deep breath and analyzed the pattern once more. Timing was critical. He calculated the movements, measured the intervals, and waited for the perfect moment. Then, with careful precision, he led Lyra through the barriers. Each step required courage, each movement demanded focus, but together they advanced steadily, moving closer to safety with every heartbeat. As they emerged from the final set of obstacles, Lyra felt a rush of relief unlike anything she had known. The alien structures were fading behind them, and a clearer path stretched ahead. She looked at Ethan, gratitude and awe shining in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered softly, her voice trembling with emotion. Ethan smiled gently, but his eyes remained vigilant. "We're not done yet," he reminded her, "but you're safe for now. Keep moving." Lyra nodded, holding on to his words, letting them steady her as they continued forward. Then, in a moment that seemed to stretch forever, Lyra's communication device crackled to life. It was a signal from her mother, sent through the Queen's network. The voice was soft, loving, and full of relief. "Lyra, my daughter, I'm coming for you." The words sent a wave of emotion through her. Tears fell freely from her eyes, tears she had held back for so long. She felt a warmth and connection that transcended the distance between them. For the first time since her capture, Lyra felt the certainty of reunion. Ethan watched quietly, giving her the space to feel the emotions she had kept inside. He understood that this was not just a rescue, it was a moment of healing, a reconnection that had been delayed by fear and danger. He knew that the courage she had shown and the trust she had placed in him were remarkable. This was why he had trained, why he had prepared. Moments like this made every challenge worthwhile. Finally, they reached the extraction point. The spacecraft Ethan had used to navigate the alien sector was waiting, its engines humming softly, ready to carry them to safety. Lyra climbed aboard carefully, glancing back at the alien structures she had navigated with such determination. She realized that she had grown stronger through the experience, braver than she had ever imagined. Ethan followed, ensuring she was secure and ready for the journey. As the ship lifted off, leaving the alien sector behind, Lyra felt a sense of freedom and relief unlike anything she had experienced in days. The journey home was quiet, filled with the gentle hum of the spacecraft. Lyra sat next to Ethan, her small hands gripping the edge of the seat. She looked at him, gratitude shining in her eyes. "I never thought I'd see my mother again," she said softly. Ethan smiled, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're going to see her soon," he replied, "and she's going to be so proud of how brave you've been." Across the galaxy, the alien queen watched the progress of the rescue. She felt tears of relief and joy streaming down her face. Her daughter was safe, thanks to the bravery of someone from another world. The emotions were overwhelming, but they were also beautiful. She whispered words of love and gratitude, a promise to embrace her daughter the moment they were reunited. The bond between mother and child, strengthened by courage and hope, had endured the test of distance and danger. As the spacecraft neared its destination, Lyra felt her heart swell with anticipation. She could imagine her mother's arms around her, the comfort and love she had longed for during her time in captivity. Ethan guided the ship carefully, ensuring a smooth and safe landing. Finally, the moment came. The doors opened, and Lyra ran forward, her tears flowing freely, her heart overflowing with joy. The alien queen was there, waiting, and when their eyes met, the reunion was complete. Tears fell from both of them as they embraced, the emotions too strong for words. Ethan stood quietly to the side, watching the reunion unfold. A sense of satisfaction and peace filled him. He had fulfilled his mission, but more importantly, he had witnessed the power of courage, hope, and love. In that moment, the boundaries between species, worlds, and experiences seemed to disappear. What mattered most was the connection between mother and child, and the bravery that had made their reunion possible. After the emotional reunion, the alien queen held her daughter tightly, tears flowing freely from both of them. Lyra's small arms wrapped around her mother, and in that embrace, all the fear, loneliness, and uncertainty she had endured seemed to melt away. The queen whispered soft words of love and comfort, her voice trembling with emotion. "You are safe now, my child," she said. "Nothing will ever harm you again." Lyra felt warmth and security she had longed for, and she clung to her mother, feeling a sense of belonging and love stronger than anything she had known. Ethan stood quietly nearby, feeling a sense of satisfaction that went beyond the mission itself. He had come to rescue a child, but what he had witnessed was so much more. He had seen the bond between mother and child, a connection that transcended species, distance, and danger. It was a reminder that courage and compassion could bring people together in ways that no one could predict. Ethan's heart swelled with pride, but he also felt humility. He had played a role in this reunion, yet it was Lyra's strength and the Queen's love that had truly made it possible. The alien palace, once tense with worry and anticipation, was now filled with a sense of calm and relief. The advisors and guards who had watched over the Queen and her daughter quietly acknowledged Ethan's bravery. There was respect in their eyes, and even a hint of curiosity. Here was a human, someone from a distant and unknown world, who had acted with courage and selflessness. The Queen approached Ethan and spoke with gratitude, her voice steady but filled with warmth. "You have saved my daughter. You have shown bravery and heart. Our people will remember this." Ethan nodded respectfully, feeling a deep connection with beings he had once thought so different from himself. Lyra, still holding on to her mother, finally looked at Ethan. Her eyes shone with gratitude and admiration. "Thank you for saving me," she said softly. "I was so scared, and you made me feel safe." Ethan smiled gently. "You were brave too," he replied. "It wasn't just me. You stayed strong, and that made all the difference." Lyra's heart swelled at his words. For the first time in days, she felt a sense of peace and happiness. She realized that courage could take many forms, from facing fears alone to trusting someone to guide you through danger. The Queen and her daughter spent time together, sharing stories of their experiences while separated. Lyra told her mother about the strange lights, the glowing corridors, and the creatures she had encountered. She spoke about her fear, but also about the moments when hope had carried her forward. The Queen listened with rapt attention, her heart full of love and pride. She knew that her daughter had grown stronger during this ordeal, and she felt grateful that Lyra had endured it with such courage and resilience. The bond between them had deepened, strengthened by the trials they had faced apart. Ethan, meanwhile, worked with the Queen's advisors to ensure that Lyra would remain safe. They discussed ways to prevent future dangers, ways to improve communication and protection, and how humans and aliens could cooperate in situations that involved both worlds. Ethan's knowledge of Earth and his experience in challenging missions became valuable, not just for this rescue, but for future collaboration. The advisors listened carefully, appreciating his perspective, and they recognized that courage and intelligence could cross worlds and species. As days passed, Lyra began to regain her sense of normalcy. She explored the palace, marveling at its beauty and wonder. The glowing walls, the floating gardens, and the soft hum of energy fascinated her. Yet despite the new surroundings, she never forgot her mother's love. She stayed close, learning from her, asking questions, and sharing her own observations. The Queen encouraged her curiosity, proud of the bravery and intelligence her daughter had shown. Lyra realized that the experience had changed her, not just through fear, but through growth, resilience, and understanding. The Queen also took time to honor Ethan. Though he had requested no reward, she presented him with a symbol of respect and friendship from her people. It was a small crystal pendant, glowing softly with energy. "This is a token of gratitude," she said. "A reminder that courage, kindness, and determination can unite worlds. You are always welcome here." Ethan accepted it humbly, understanding the deeper meaning behind it. The pendant was not just a gift. It was a bridge between two worlds, a sign of trust and mutual respect. Lyra and her mother also began to share stories of the past and the present. They laughed, cried, and held each other close. Every moment was precious, every word a reminder of how much they had missed each other. Lyra's fear and loneliness slowly gave way to joy and security. She learned that even in the darkest moments, hope could light the way. She also learned that courage could appear in unexpected forms, through her own actions and through the bravery of others who risked everything to help her. Ethan prepared to return to Earth, knowing that his mission was complete. Yet he felt a sense of connection to the alien world that he could not explain. He had witnessed love, courage, and compassion that transcended species, and he carried those lessons with him. Lyra and the Queen thanked him again, and he felt the warmth of their gratitude. As he boarded his ship, he looked back one last time, seeing mother and daughter together, safe and smiling. A sense of peace settled over him, a feeling that his journey had been meaningful in a way far beyond simple duty. The journey home was calm, filled with reflection. Ethan thought about the courage he had seen in Lyra, the love he had witnessed between mother and daughter, and the hope that had guided them all. He realized that bravery was not just about facing danger, it was about trust, compassion, and the determination to protect those we care about. These lessons would stay with him, shaping the way he approached challenges in the future. Back on the alien planet, life slowly returned to normal. The Queen and Lyra spent time together, strengthening their bond and planning for the future. They reflected on the experience, recognizing the importance of courage, hope, and the kindness of a human who had risked everything to help. Lyra's bravery had inspired not only her mother but also those around her. The palace, once tense with worry, was now filled with laughter, learning, and joy. The memory of fear had not disappeared, but it had been replaced by growth, understanding, and the reassurance of safety. In the end, the story was not just about a rescue, it was about connection, courage, and love. A human soldier had crossed worlds to save a child, and in doing so had shown that compassion knows no boundaries. Lyra had faced fear and uncertainty, and in her courage she had grown stronger. The alien queen had witnessed the power of trust and hope, learning that even across the vastness of space, love could guide actions and unite hearts. Together, they had created a new beginning, one filled with understanding, respect, and the promise of a brighter future. The universe, vast and full of unknowns, had witnessed an extraordinary act of bravery and kindness. It was a reminder that, even in the face of danger, hope could prevail, courage could shine, and love could bridge worlds. For Lyra, her mother, and Ethan, life would never be the same. They had shared a journey that tested their hearts, and in doing so, they had discovered the true strength of compassion, connection, and family.